What's up, everybody? This is Jeff. I'm making this video kind of just based on some research and some understanding of things that I've discovered over the last 2 years, but more honestly, recently by just talking to some local Hawaiian people. Um, so basically, the subject of this video is understanding Hawaii. Now, I'm not going to claim to be an expert, so I'm only making this video because I noticed that the information that exists is not very comprehensive. So I'm kind of taking everything and just putting it into this video and going to do my best to give you an accurate representation of the facts from both sides. So, the first thing to mention when understanding Hawaii is the actual term occupation of Hawaii. The term occupation or Hawaiian sovereignty, you might see the Hawaiian flag fly upside down. As you know, no matter what flag it is, if it flies upside down, it means it's a nation in distress. The Hawaiian people themselves are very rare. There's not very many left, unfortunately. I mean that's actually pretty sad because to hear that a whole ethnicity of people has been basically almost hardly exist, and so I'm bringing this up because there's people who are going to claim to be Hawaiian, but they're more often than not they're a mix of Polynesian culture, and they might actually have some small, uh, uh, amounts of Hawaiian blood. The way that the government handles this is, or the way that it's set up is by a blood quantum. A blood quantum basically says that you have a certain amount of Hawaiian genealogy. I believe it's 25%. So just to show you that right now, people who are qualifying is it's about 25% is the minimum. Okay. Now, obviously, if you have 100%, you're full-blooded Hawaiian. If you have 50%, you're half Hawaiian. If you have 25%, you're one-fourth Hawaiian. But because there's not very many Hawaiian people that exist, the blood quantum says 25%, and you qualify as to get Hawaiian lands, homestead lands. So with that being said, the the idea that the Hawaiian Islands were stolen from the Hawaiian people is because basically the story is that the American people, the people who took the land, were highly skilled and highly um, advantaged in the fact that they were used to doing this kind of work, where they would basically take land from people who were naive or ignorant to how this system worked, kind of like a mafia kind of thing. Like, if you're not experienced in organized crime, you're not going to be able to compete with organized crime cells. So basically, that's kind of the idea, is that the Americans were these experienced criminals who took advantage of these inexperienced islanders. Okay. So, by the way, I'm not trying to pick a side here because I'm really impartial. I just like to hear both sides of the story. I was in the U.S. military, and I get along with Hawaiian people, and I have a great respect for them. I'm just kind of mediating the story here. So, the Hawaiian sovereignty issue always comes up where the Hawaiian people are saying, give us our land back, give us our sovereignty back. The American government says, no, you're a state and you're going to remain a state, and that's just the way it is. And so that's the part of understanding Hawaiian sovereignty. Okay, so moving away from the politics of it, I apologize if that was not what you wanted to hear right off the bat, but hey, that's what came up. Next, we're moving into the Aloha culture, the Aloha spirit. So, aloha literally translates to the breath of life. Okay, alo meaning the presence, or the face, the basically the meaning of face, and ha being breath. So when Hawaiian people used to greet anybody, they would put their heads together with yours and they would breathe, and that's how they understood who you were. That's how they got your spirit. So aloha is basically that's what it is. But in today's uh, culture, aloha is simply comes down to hello or goodbye or in a gracious way. So the culture of aloha, because that's the most popular word. You know, you might hear the word mahalo or you know, variants of different Hawaiian words that are also expressions of love and happiness, and that's really the Hawaiian culture. Is it's don't expect them to give you more love, and but that's kind of what you get. You know, if you they just give. It's a culture of giving and caring about other people. A lot of people come from other places and they pick up on this and they really fall in love with it because where they come from might not have this same culture or this same understanding. And some people would assume that, oh, this is hokey, this is, you know, you're blowing smoke, but it really does exist. There's an aloha culture and people pick up on it and they sense it. They don't have to force the Hawaiian people, the culture here doesn't force it. Okay, so um, now don't think that everything's all hunky dory over here, because there is a unfortunately there is a population of people who are on drugs who would call themselves Hawaiian. That's not the representative of the Hawaiian culture, nor do the Hawaiian people want that to be a representative, because that's really an Americanized what is it, demon that has arrived here on the islands, and it has a stronghold on certain people who would identify themselves as Hawaiian, whether it be their 10%, 5%, 50%. Anyone on drugs, they're on drugs. You can't really take people serious if they're not in the right state of sober mindedness. Okay, so the next thing to know about Hawaii is it is a paradise, a tropical paradise. There are white sand beaches here. There are black sand beaches here. There are green sand beaches here. There are red sand beaches here. There's gold colored sand beaches here. There's all types of sand beaches. Okay? And then there's lots of lava. This place was built by what Hawaiian mythology calls Pele, the fire goddess. Okay? There's in the Hawaiian mythology, we call it mythology because it's folklore, and without absolute evidence, we cannot call it truth, right? So in the Hawaiian mythology, there's a fire goddess named Pele, who the Hawaiian people identified as a creator and a destroyer that you did not want to upset. There was other gods like the snow god who lived on Mauna Kea. That was Pele's older sister. Or, by the way, I said I'm not an expert. It was either her older sister or her auntie. Okay. But either way, she was considered above Pele, and before science, the reason is because the Hawaiian people could identify that when it snowed on Mauna Kea, it could put out fire. You know? And it seemed like the fire was over there, but it was never over there, which would be on top of Mauna Kea. It was always over in Kilauea. So they just assumed that this was the elder of the young, rebellious Pele. So then there's a shark god and whatnot. So there's various different types of mythology that you can explore in the Hawaiian kingdom that the people understood as truth and can actually share with you. And when you're watching hula or a luau, they do some of the Hawaiian people do pay respect to these gods of theirs. So it's interesting. It's something. It's just really interesting to explore and understand, and it's part of the culture, and it's part of hula. It's part of the luau. So, you know, explore it if you like, and understand it, and understand the Hawaiian culture and the way that they've grown to perceive things here on the islands before science and before other understandings came. Okay. So, with all that being said, you have to understand what's happening now in as the dynamic. People from other places want to live in paradise. People in the UK, for example, I'm not saying the UK only. The people in Boston, Chicago, Manitoba, whatever, not from here. They don't like winter. They want to live somewhere where they can get nothing but sunshine because they're so fed up with winter. They move to this place. They bring their outsider dollars, and now what's happening is they're kind of edging out the Hawaiian people. So this is where the sovereignty thing comes back in, where they're like, "Hey, wait, you guys came over here, took our land from us, the people who were here first, and now you're using your outside dollars to push us out of paradise." Makes sense, right? I mean, this is all they know. The people who are Hawaiian, they've never lived anywhere else, and now people with big money are coming in and just, spending it and buying up the land. So to fight back, they're like, "Well, this is stolen land, and it's actually illegal to do what you're doing, and we want our land back. As a matter of fact, we're going to fight you guys in court." So this is what is also happening, is the fact that Hawaiian people with the blood quantum of 25% genealogy are battling for more land and more rights to protect their descendants and the Hawaiian bloodline. And truth be told, a lot of these people who are coming from outside, they have this glorified concept of Hawaiian culture that they're kind of pushing out, but it's the same reason they're coming here. So they love Hawaiian people, but they're pushing them out. Now, who's really to blame for that? Well, let's just not blame anybody, and let's just see what we can do to resolve it in a sensible and logical way. Okay, so moving past all that, without demonizing either side and picking a side, you also have an economy here. The economy is really based off of tourism. So people would say this comment, which I don't always agree with, which is Hawaii would die without tourism. I don't agree with that, because if there's any place you'd want to be if Armageddon hit, or the end of the world, World War III, whatever you want to call it, you'd want to be in Hawaii. You get fresh drinking water that comes from rain. You can grow anything here. It's a tropical paradise. You're not going to get frozen in or thrown off the island. Maybe a volcano, I guess, but if you're on Maui, you don't have to worry about that. But maybe on the certain parts of the Big Island. But the point is that, so I just don't really say that Hawaii is completely dependent on tourism, because I'm sure they would find something else to be dependent on if it wasn't tourism. It just so happens that's what's hot right now, and probably will be for a while. So that's what makes it also expensive, is to import things to the islands is expensive, because it's the most isolated island chain in the entire world. If you look at a map, no other place is this isolated. I mean, we're so far away from North America or the American continent, and then we're almost double as far away to the Asian continent. So we're just as far away to Australia. So we're out there in the middle of nowhere, and it costs money to ship. Yeah. So that milk, all that stuff comes from somewhere else. Not exactly very fresh though. So keep that in mind. The food out here is not as fresh. So food's not so great unless it's locally caught, and 90% of the food is from elsewhere. So unless you're going out there, or you have a buddy who fishes or grows food on a farm, you're eating imported food here in Hawaii, and it's expensive. So you're paying more for food that's not very nutritious. Okay. Everything else is expensive too, and that has a lot to do with the fact that it's imported. Not just food, but everything is imported here. Not very many things are created here. I mean, it's a small island with limited resources, and you don't want to just rape the land of all the resources because you got a whole bunch of 1 million people living in Honolulu, right? And 1.5 million in the state, with an annual visitor base of over 10 million. So, with all that being said, let's just cut to the chase, end the video here, and say that's some of the things to understand about Hawaii for those of you who are seeking to move here or live here. If you like to learn more about Hawaii or other travel destinations that I go to, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. See you later.